All right, this is Katie Britt. All right, she's delivering the speech after the what was it?
State of the Union address.
The Union by Joe Biden, which was a mess. But
Yeah,
anyway,
it was not just a mess. Let's be honest, it was a train wreck.
yeah, a lot of lies going on there. It's a lot of deception and lies. Anyway,
And
we got the-
incoherent babbling.
yeah, yeah.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the people of the great state of Alabama in the United States Senate. However, that's not the job that matters most. I am a proud wife and mom of two school-aged kids. My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried about their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure. I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this one. You know, this is where our family has tough conversations. It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we share the good, the bad, and the ugly of our days. It's where we laugh together, and it's where we hold each other's hands and pray for God's guidance. And many nights, to be honest, it's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight, the American family needs to have a tough conversation because the truth is, we're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams. My American dream allowed me, the daughter of two small business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40. Growing up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never could have imagined what my story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime, it's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families. The true, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this. Our families are hurting. Our country can do better. And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border to see it. President Biden inherited the most secure border of all time. But minutes after taking office, he suspended all deportations, he halted construction of the border wall, and he announced a plan to give amnesty to millions. We know that President Biden didn't just create this border crisis, he invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. She told me not just that she was raped every day, but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room, And they sent men through that door over and over again for hours and hours on end. We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country. This is the United States of America, and it is past time, in my opinion, that we start acting like it. President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable. And the truth is, it is almost entirely preventable. From fentanyl poisonings to horrific murders.
Pause for a second.
There are empty.
The other thing I want to mention is the fact that most of the people coming over, if you actually look at the statistics, 60% of the people coming over the border are military age Chinese and Middle Eastern men.
They're not women and children who are really seeking for asylum. That's a fact. And I think
this is literally an invasion.
Yeah, the asylum claim can be considered and should be for one reason. I have a family member who sought asylum claim, right? But he was coming from Haiti. Like, it was do or die for him. Like, we're talking about dead bodies, like having seen his friends shot in the head.
Which is a legit thing. And then that's something I wanted to address with you on this livecast.
Yes, somebody got shot. Like, he himself got shot on a bike one time. It is that pathetic. It's to the point where it is in Haiti, they're actually busting down your home and they kick everybody out and take over the house. They're doing that right now. They're stealing your house while you're living in it.
When in Agenda 47, when Trump was talking about the largest deportation in history, he's not talking about those who came here legally.
Absolutely not.
He's talking about those who came over the border illegally.
Exactly.
So anybody in your family who came here legally through the proper channels is completely safe.
Yeah.
So you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah. And I think their asylum claims need to be properly examined and vetted, because some people do have even they came through the border illegally, right? But some of them do have good reasons to come. Although I'm not advocating for open border in any way, please don't misunderstand me. There are cases where this needs to be considered. For example, the Ukrainian asylum seekers, they're coming here, right? But you don't hear much pushback about them because there's a real issue going on with Russia and Ukraine. And these people, when they come, they fit right into the system. They integrate perfectly. And it's not really a major problem. So I think taking that same approach for certain individuals, not all people, will be part of the solution as well. And again, another thing to consider, not everyone that is coming, and I know you're not saying that, are criminals. Some of them are really looking for the help, and they need to be given an opportunity to prove their case that they can be trusted and everything else, which I'm totally for. Yeah. All right. I got somebody calling me here, but I'm going to let this video play out though. Yeah.
Chairs tonight at kitchen tables, just like this one, because of President Biden's senseless border policies.
Hello, good morning. Is Mr. James in?
Yes. Think about Lake and Riley. In my neighboring state of Georgia, this beautiful 22-year-old nursing student went out on a jog one morning, but she never got the opportunity to return home. She was brutally murdered by one of the millions of illegal border crossers President Biden chose to release into our homeland. Y'all, as a mom, I can't quit thinking about this. I mean, this could have been my daughter. This could have been yours. And tonight, President Biden finally said her name. But he refused to take responsibility for his own actions. Mr. President, enough is enough.
And even then, he didn't say it right.
are dying, and you only have yourself to blame. Fulfill your oath of office, reverse your policies, end this crisis, and stop the suffering. Sadly, we know that President Biden's failures don't stop there. His reckless spending dug our economy into a hole and sent the cost of living through the roof. We have the worst inflation in 40 years and the highest credit card debt in our nation's history. Let that sink in. Hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet today. And with soaring mortgage rates and sky-high childcare costs, they're also struggling to how to plan for tomorrow. The American people are scraping by while President Biden proudly proclaims that Bidenomics is working. Goodness, y'all, bless his heart, we know better. I'll never forget stopping at a gas station in Chilton County one evening. The gentleman working the counter told me that after retiring, he had to pick up a job in his 70s so that he didn't have to choose between going hungry or going without his medication. He said, I did everything right. I did everything I was told to do. I worked hard, I saved, I was responsible. He's not alone. I hear similar concerns from fellow parents, whether I am walking with my friends or whether I'm at my kids' games. But let's be honest, it's been a minute since Joe Biden pumped gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart. Meanwhile, the rest of us see our dollar and we know it doesn't go as far. We see it every day. And despite what he tells you, our communities are not safer. For years, the left has coddled criminals and defunded the police, all while letting repeat offenders walk free. The result is tragic, but foreseeable. From our small towns to America's most iconic city streets, life is getting more and more dangerous. And unfortunately, President Biden's weakness isn't just hurting families here at home. He is making us a punchline on the world stage. Look, where I'm from, your word is your bond. But for 3 years, the president has demonstrated that America's word doesn't mean what it used to. From abandoning our allies in his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan to desperately pushing another dangerous deal with Iran, President Biden has failed. We've become a nation in retreat, and the enemies of freedom, they see an opportunity. Putin's brutal aggression in Europe has put our allies on the brink. Iran's terrorist proxies have slaughtered Israeli, Jews, and American citizens. They've targeted commercial shipping, and they've attacked our troops nearly 200 times since October, killing 3 US soldiers and 2 Navy SEALs. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party is undercutting America's workers. China is buying up our farmland, spying on our military installations, and spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. You see, the CCP knows that if it conquers the minds of our next generation, it conquers America. And what does President Biden do? Well, he bans TikTok for government employees, but creates an account for his own campaign. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. Look, We all recall when presidents faced national security threats with strength and resolve. That seems like ancient history. Right now, our commander-in-chief is not in command. The free world deserves better than a dithering and diminished leader. America deserves leaders who recognize that secure borders, stable prices, safe streets, and a strong defense are actually the cornerstones of a great nation. Just ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 3 years ago?
No, I'm not. I will be glad to. I'll gladly answer that question. Um, and I know that I can place a lot of the blame on Biden, but I've come to realize Biden is just a front man.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
He's just an empty suit. He's a puppet.
It's an empty suit that's signing policies in place to push whatever agenda somebody behind the scene would like to have happened. The truth is, I'm not in a much better place. Not financially, not economically. Well, similar. But even from a religious perspective, too, I found that the Christian faith is highly maligned and under attack under the Biden administration. 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
Than any other time in history. And food are extremely expensive. Accounts is in the negative. I just checked out my account now. I think there's like $15 left. It's not just because of bad spending habits. It's just that everything is so expensive. Our bills are much more expensive than they were before. And it's okay. We have to figure things out and pray, trust the Lord. But I think having the right person in the White House could also be part of the answer. This wasn't the case when Trump was president, and that's a fact.
No.
I take mean tweets anytime with money in my bank and safer securities and having a closed border. I'll take mean tweets anytime.
And the part she brought up about the nursing student that got deleted by an illegal, when he said her name, he didn't even say the right name. He said the wrong name. He actually said the name of a college football coach instead of saying the name of the nursing student. Like it's like,
I give him a pass for his age. If he can't even stand trials for those,
but he had a button in his hand with her name on it.
Okay, now I take that pass back.
Like Marjorie Taylor Greene legitimately handed him a button with her name on it.
Yeah, as soon as he walked in, even being 30-something minutes late, 28 minutes late, whatever. But yeah, he was reminded of her from the very beginning.
So, I mean, he had absolutely zero excuse for getting the name wrong.
Lincoln Riley. Anyway.
And it's like, no, it's not Lincoln Riley. It's Lincoln Riley.
But did you also notice that he was apologizing for saying one of the illegals was an illegal? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Actually, I did put a video.
I shouldn't have said they were illegal. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
If they're here illegally, then they're here illegally. Plain and simple.
Yeah. And that was their major concern from the left is just, I can't believe Biden actually called her an illegal. It's like, well, I mean, call him an illegal, but I'm like, well, that's kind of what he is, right?
On the first of all, just the
word illegal to describe immigrants last night, sir?
Well, I don't regret it. Technically not supposed to be here.
First of all, just the moment, but also on the term he used, illegal. There's been some backlash among some in his own party for using that term.
Look, it was clear being in the chamber last night that there were those in the extreme Republican Party who were trying to bait the president into responding to whatever heckle they were offering. It's unfortunate that the president used that language. I don't believe that is the language that he believes in his heart about immigrant people who find their way to this country to make a better life for themselves.
You should have used the word undocumented. I don't believe that the president's heart is with the word illegal. I think, frankly, I think he shouldn't have responded to a very disrespectful Republican member who was shouting at him, the president of the United States. That is not appropriate.
He also called the illegal who killed her an illegal.
And you know why he did that? Because it was the father of Lincoln Riley, who was actually in Congress that day, who was up in the foyer in the banisters, who was shouting at him to say her name and to, make it known, make him aware that she was the one who was taken out by this illegal immigrant. And it's like, yeah, they are illegal. They're illegal for a reason, because they're not supposed to be here. And that's exactly what undocumented means, you putzes.
And he actually had to apologize, which he did. In a sense, he did. Look at this.
You saw Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. It was priceless. You feigned shock at seeing her. But during your response to her heckling of you, you used the word illegal when talking about the man who allegedly killed Lincoln Riley.
An undocumented person. And I shouldn't have used illegal. I should have, it's undocumented. And look, when I spoke about the difference between Trump and me, one of the things I talked about on the border was that the way he talks about vermin, the way he talks about these people polluting the blood. I talked about what I'm not going to do, what I won't do. I'm not going to treat any of these people with disrespect. Look, they built the country. The reason our economy is growing. We have to control the border and more orderly flow, but I don't share his view at all.
No, they're not.
You regret using that.
They're not growing our country. They're not building our country. They're destroying it. I mean, for crying out loud, 3 of them assaulted an officer in New York City and walked away scot-free, flipping the police off, or flipping the bird to the news cameras as they were walking out. Like, what? This dude makes my head hurt. You're muted.
Sorry. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was thinking about that, the idea that I get it. It seems like the Democrats use this all the time. Migrants build this country. Well, there were legal migrants who were running away from countries that did not have religious freedom, and they came here and built this country.
And they came here legally.
Yeah, they came in legally and with the right intent. It's not exactly the same. It's the same argument being used. Black people build this country. Where there were black slaves who did a whole lot of work in this country and contributed to the economy of this country, but that doesn't mean they build the country. It's only a half truth. I think we need to be fair.
And before that, there was Irish slaves.
Yeah. How come they don't get any praise and honor?
Hello? But yet you don't hear us whining about reparations. That's not a thing. I mean, it's just so hypocritical that these people think they're all that in a bag of chips, want to sit here and complain and complain and complain. It's like, you know what? Yeah, your ancestors had it hard, but let me put it to you this way. I ain't ever owned anyone, and you ain't ever picked no cotton. End of discussion.
Exactly. You've been saying the same thing for a while, and that's exactly what it is. To me, it's just that. Yeah. Ends of discussion. Listen, I listened to this guy. Remember the guy Allison that we had, that one black guy that spoke with Tucker Carlson at one time about BLM?
Oh, yeah.
Brother. And I think that's a different discussion. He said that slavery was a choice. But when he said it, I said, well, you gotta be crazy. But what he went on to say after that to prove his point, I was like, okay, brother, you got me. Because the way he explained it in such a way. By the time he's done with you, you're like, oh my Lord, they did not have to remain slaves.
No.
They actually remained slave because they chose to be slave. They did not believe. And he explained why they did not believe, why they chose. Bruh, that's a whole nother discussion.
And
That will make a
even
lot of
even
people upset.
even today, a lot of them still choose to be slaves. It's just a different plantation. It's
Exactly.
plantation mine.
Mentally. Yeah. All right, let's have her finish. And then I gotta run upstairs to grab something quick.
There's no doubt we're at a crossroads, and it doesn't have to be this way. We all feel it. But here's the good news. We, the people, are still in the driver's seat. We get to decide whether our future will grow brighter or whether we'll settle for an America in decline. Well, I know which choice our children deserve, and I know the choice the Republican Party is fighting for. We are the party of hard-working parents and families, and we want to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive. And we want families to grow. It's why we strongly support continued nationwide access to in vitro fertilization. We want to help loving moms and dads bring precious life into this world. Wesley and I believe there is no greater blessing in life than our children. And that's why tonight, I want to make a direct appeal to the parents out there, and in particular to my fellow moms, many of whom I know will be up tossing and turning at 2 a.m., wondering how you're going to be in 3 places at once and then somehow still get dinner on the table. First of all, we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you. I know you're frustrated. I know you're probably disgusted by most of what you see going on in Washington, and I'll be really honest with you, you're not wrong for feeling that way. Look, I get it. The task in front of us isn't an easy one, but I can promise you one thing. It is worth it. So I am asking you, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, get into the arena. Every generation has been called to do hard things. American greatness rests in the fact that we always answer that call. It's who we are. Never forget, we are steeped in the blood of patriots who overthrew the most powerful empire in the world. We walk in the footsteps of pioneers who tamed the wild. We now carry forward the same flame of freedom as the liberators of an oppressed Europe. We continue to draw courage from those who bent the moral arc of the universe. And when we gaze upon the heavens, never forget that our DNA contains the same ingenuity that put man on the moon. America has been tested before, and every single time we've emerged unbowed and unbroken. Our history has been written with the grit of men and women who got knocked down. But we know their stories because they did not stay down. We are here because they stood back up. So now it's our turn, our moment to stand up and prove ourselves worthy of protecting the American dream. Together, we can reawaken the heroic spirit of a great nation. Because America, we don't just have a rendezvous with destiny. We take destiny's hand and we lead it. Our future starts around kitchen tables just like this, with moms and dads just like you. And you are why I believe with every fiber of my being that despite the current state of our union, our best days are still ahead. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless these United States of America.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Let me say this. My criticism and thought before I heard the entire speech was wrong. This is a powerful speech. Now, we can speak about the emotional side. A lot of people had an issue with that. I'm realizing it was balanced. She actually was able to speak from a family, a mother, and a wife's perspective, and as well as an American who desires what's best for the country, exposes the wrongs of Joe Biden's speech. And she went on to speak about the goals that they have in mind as far as fixing the problem. And the emphasis she places on family here, I can fight against that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a powerful speech. That was great. At first, I heard a lot of people say they didn't like the speech. I've only heard about 4 minutes of the speech. I was like, not really sold out, but listening to the entire thing, I'm glad I did that. It really shows me the bigger picture. Thank you.
Yeah, it really is. She definitely gave a powerful speech.
Yeah, from the heart.
Especially from the heart. And if anybody knows, when you're from the South, when she says "bless your heart," if you know, you know. That's all I'm gonna say.
Bless his heart. All right. Well, thank you for that. That was great. And I think as Americans, we do have reasons to fight.
And I think the reason why they try to tear her down is because of the fact that she gave such a well-balanced speech and it was so powerful that they don't want people to listen to it, and they don't want people to hear it, and they don't want that word getting out, because if it does, then they're not going to things aren't going to go the way they want them to.
Absolutely not.